Hi everybody, we're back here at the 2021 NCHA Kit Kat Sugar Super Stakes, and we've got a special guest with us today, Miss Stacie McDavid. Welcome, Stacie.
Well, I really appreciate you having me.
The champion of the 5-year-old amateur that just wrapped up here, and you've got another one to show later on today. Dmac Sweet and Sour. Quite an event. You had to sit it out, sweat it out a little bit. You marked a 2:21 early in the first set. There was 2 big sets. How was that?
It tested my patience. That's all I can tell you. It was tough.
It's never easy. What were you doing? What did you do?
Well, I watched for a little while,
yeah.
And then David said, I need some hot chocolate. So we ran home and kind of messed around, and then I watched some of the second bunch.
Yeah.
Then I couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah. So it must have felt good when the final horse went and you realized that you'd won it?
It was a huge relief.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. Well, let's dig back a little bit. Let's talk about how you got into the industry. You've been around cutting for a long time. Where did you grow up? How did you get into the horses?
I grew up in Denton, Texas, and my father was a chemistry professor. Needless to say, I didn't get any of that from him. And he's Lebanese and doesn't ride.
Right.
But my mother's side of the family were cowgirls, and so I rode a little bit growing up with my mother's family, and I was an athlete my whole life. My father was a coach, so I was used to really vital athletic instruction
Putting
early
in the work.
on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The daily regiment. Yeah.
Right.
And how did you get into cutting?
Actually, David made me do it. I didn't want to cut. I wanted to spectate and support him. And one day he showed up at the house. He had been to the sale and walked a horse down the driveway. Mm-hmm. He said, "Here's your new cutter." I said, "I don't want to cut." He said, "You're cutting. We're cutting together. We're going to do it as a family."
Yeah.
So he kind of forced it on me.
And it didn't take you long to kind of grab a hold of the reins and go on with it.
Didn't take me long, if you've ever ridden a cutter, you're hooked from the beginning. It's absolutely thrilling.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
So over 30 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, probably about close to 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you've become quite the accomplished rider. I mean, you've won over $1.1 million in the cutting pen. You're multiple Hall of Famer, you're NCHA Hall of Famer, you're a National Cowgirl Hall of Famer, and a Texas Cowboy Hall of Famer. Tell us a little bit about how that all kind of evolved.
Well, I've always felt like I needed to be multi-dimensional. I don't cut all day, every day. I never have. I've always done other things. And David and I have been very instrumental in the museum district in Fort Worth and giving back to our community. So for me personally, I felt like I needed to give back, and I think that probably the reason why I am in those Hall of Fames is not necessarily because I'm just a cowgirl, but for the other things that we are involved.
You're very involved outside the arena and promoting the industry in many different facets.
Correct.
And I think and that's a big part of who you are. And so it's fun to see you have success here in the pen as well.
Thank you so much. I'm very appreciative.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your program. Clint Allen's your trainer. How did your program come about? How did David and you set up the program with Clint?
Well, David's always loved Clint, and I've always respected him as a trainer. We followed him very closely as the 2-year-old guy for Matt Gaines and Julie Ridley's program. And then he went out on his own, and I was hopeful that we were transitioning at the time, and I was hopeful we could get him on board. He was a hard nut to crack, though, let me tell you. He was not easy, and David and I both are salespeople, and trying to convince him to come to work for us, he didn't have a lot of trust.
Really?
Yeah, he was tough, but Clint's family, and I'm honored to be in his presence. Truly I am, because he's a horseman, and there are no buttons to his horses. They're They're easy to throw a leg over, and if you do your job, you're probably going to end up pretty high up in the cutting. So he's super easy to follow.
Yeah. So obviously the program's worked out. I mean, he's been with you guys for over 8 years now, I think.
That's correct.
And going really well. You've always kind of shown horses that you guys have bred. You're not people to go out and just buy horses. I mean, you've bought some really good mares. You've built a foundation there over the years and built up a program there. Dmac Sweet and Sour is the product of that from Cherry Checks Dooley. So tell us a little bit about what went into that, into deciding to building that program. What was key to that for you guys?
Terry Riddle always felt strongly about a good brood mare program. And if you're going to buy some horses, and they're not just geldings, they all cost the same to keep.
Right.
So you might as well buy good ones. So we started out buying some good mares and some foundation mares that cross on a lot of our studs in the business. And I would say the majority of our horses off our place that we show are homegrown.
Yeah.
And there's something extremely satisfying about that when you show those horses that are out of your mares, or you rode their even a longer lineage than that. Yeah. So it's very, very gratifying.
Yeah, and that obviously that transition makes these wins worth even more when you come here and do good.
It really does. When I was we were looking at the babies out in the pasture yesterday, wondering which ones. You don't know what they're going to be like, the little ones, but you're hopeful, and I would imagine that we're going to have several good ones out of that pasture that we looked at yesterday. Yeah. So it's just, in this time every year in spring, seeing those babies, there's something super special about it. It really is.
Yeah. The dream. You're seeing the dream and the start of the dream.
That's
basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. So what is it about this sport that keeps you coming back? Is it the people? Is it the excitement?
Well, I'm a horse whisperer, first and foremost. And I would say the majority of our relationships with people, our best friends, have been through cutting. Really, it's kind of a fraternal order in a way. Yeah. But we love the trainers, we love the lopers, and certainly the owners. We all fraternize with one another, and it just enriches your life beyond measure.
It's truly a family.
It is a family.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I could call you if I needed something, Michael.
Yeah, and I've got your cell phone too, and
Okay.
that's what's nice about this sport, is that everybody is. I mean, that was the tough thing about COVID, because we didn't get to see each other at these major shows for a while, and so now things are kind of opening back up, and we're getting able to enjoy that a bit more again, and so that's the fun part. So what's on the slate next for you? Obviously, you've got another finals tonight. We've still got a few more days of the show here. What is your goals here in the future?
I hadn't really thought about it, because I hadn't shown for 13 months until this show, so that it was a little bit of a surprise for me when Clint said, "I need you to catch ride." Yeah. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But it was easy getting on his horses, and I was a little bit rusty. Yeah. I do cross train, so I kind of stay in shape, but looking forward, our daughter is having a baby this summer, so Clint said, "Will you be able to show at the summer show?" And I said, "I don't know. It depends on when that baby's due." I hadn't really thought about it, but I'm looking forward to competition again. Yeah. It's in my blood.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we really appreciate you coming by here. Congratulations on your win this morning. Good luck tonight in the finals, and we'll be cheering for you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.